So as I was looking for some used PC parts, there was one particular PC that popped up for $50. Now they say it's for parts and they're just selling it as not working, and they're actually unsure of the specifications, but there's at least USB 3 on the motherboard from what I see. There's a decent little mini ITX case from Cooler Master, so we organized to pick this thing up, and the weirdest thing is, it's about a 5-minute walk from where I am right now. So this will be the first time in the history of Tech Yes City where I've ever walked to go and pick up a PC deal. Thought that's pretty cool. But anyhow, let's go get this PC for $50, which would be like 30 USD, bring it back here, and then see if there's anything wrong with it and see what we get. Kind of like a little cool lucky dip that perhaps we could turn into a gaming PC.
Yeah, so what's the story with it?
So it's just my old home PC that I used to use for bit of drafting and stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And all I've done is take the hard drive out because I don't use it anymore.
Yeah, well, you got to be safe, yeah.
But for some reason, I think the power supply might have gone or something because it doesn't seem to switch on.
Well, it's $50, man. I can't,
I'm sure you could get some parts or the case out of it at least.
Yeah, all right.
But otherwise.
All right, cheers. Yeah.
I haven't no use for it anymore.
So we are now back here at the next day, and we have our beautiful, used, dirty Cooler Master Mini ITX PC on the table here. However, I did notice, because there was no specs in the description, I quickly took a sticky beak when I was picking up the PC, and I noticed there was 8 gigabytes of DDR3 sticks by 2, which means it's 16 gigabytes, but also it's PCI Express 3, which means it's better than a Sandy Bridge i7. So it could be an i7 3770 or better. But then there's M.2 Wi-Fi on board too. So that usually means we're looking at an i7 4th gen, which for the whole PC, considering that we can also fit in potentially a decent graphics card here, I think it's not too bad of a deal. Now keep in mind, when I was talking to him, he was saying, look, he doesn't know what's wrong with it, but there's something wrong with it. So what we're gonna do is, first things first, we're gonna clean this thing up, and we're gonna obviously make it look as best as we can. But one thing I like to do is, before I try booting up PCs that are this dirty, I like to clean them out anyway, just in case that could be the cause of the PC not booting itself. But yeah, let's get on with the cleaning and see if our $50 PC has any potential. So we now tried booting this thing up, and there's kind of some good news, and that is, I initially thought it was just completely dead. That's what I got told when I bought it. Nothing booted up at all, but we're actually kind of getting it to boot up, and even though it turns off right away, it's a weird kind of issue here, where it sort of like the RGB lights come on too, it starts up sort of really sporadically. So we're gonna try another power supply and see if that does fix it, because one really weird thing was that there was some sort of weird gunk on the motherboard right here on the power switch area. So we took that out, and then we also changed out the CMOS battery. And so perhaps the power supply deep inside it has some of this goo as well. And if that's the case, that thing's gonna need a complete ultrasonic clean, and maybe that power supply will still work. Who knows? Hopeful that we can actually get all the parts working, but let's try another power supply first and see if that will fix our issue. So after a little bit of testing now, back and forth with some different used components, we now have an answer as to what is wrong with this $50 PC. And unfortunately, there is a faulty part, and it is the motherboard right here not being able to boot. So this is a Gigabyte H87N Wi-Fi, so it's mini ITX. However, for the replacement, we're gonna use, since I wanna keep the cost down to an extremely low level, we're gonna use a throwaway motherboard that we got from a separate deal. It was actually included in a bundle deal I did on my used PC parts hunt. And this is for a Dell, just basically they pull them out of OEMs. This one here, if you wanna use it as a regular gaming PC, you're gonna need an adapter for it. And also you can get an adapter for the power switch as well. But also, since the PC came with no graphics card, we're gonna use a GTX 1660 Super that we pulled out of a recent deal that we got on the parts hunt. It was actually pretty much the GPU was almost throwaway condition, but then I washed it and cleaned it. However, for the cooler, we had to silicon this down to the actual heatsink because it's pretty much been weathered. And you can even see from the footage here that it's actually a little bit off slanted. That's because the actual shroud is breaking away from the fan too. So we have here a complete throwaway PC. We're sticking to tradition. However, we're gonna take things a step further. And since I love just mixing and matching and just creating the most value out of anything, we're gonna take this 600 watt modular silver rated power supply. We're gonna sideline that because it actually works absolutely fine. And we're gonna replace it with a VS350 that we got on a parts hunt for 10 bucks. And so this VS350 is gonna be absolutely fine for this whole budget combo. And we can use that power supply at a later date on a higher end system. So we've got our components right here ready to put in the build. We've only got two little problems left to solve, and that is an SSD, which in this case, we're gonna be using a 240 gigabyte. You can get these used for extremely cheap. And because we're not gonna be playing any sort of crazy latest AAA titles with this rig, I think 240 gigabytes should be okay. I mean, this PC right here basically needs a clean still. This case, we're gonna give this a quick once over. Unfortunately, with this DVD drive, I would like to take it out, but I'm gonna leave it in there because it covers up the front panel there nicely. If we take that out, we're gonna have open space there because it didn't include the original bracket. So I'm gonna leave that in there and just give it a quick clean and then put this build together and then see if we can get some good gaming performance out of it. So we've got this PC all booted up now. It's installing Windows, which is great. And there are a few caveats, however. The first being that this graphics card here, it would have been hanging out of the case if we used the full 16 slot. So thankfully there was a slot above that, but I'm not entirely sure if that's gonna be Gen 2 or Gen 3. We'll check once we install Windows and if it's gonna cause any issues for the performance of the 1660 Super. And then also outside of that, I had to put some thermal pads under the right-hand side here of this Dell because they're the screw holes, obviously for an OEM PC, it was proprietary. So 3 of the screw holes lined up, but then the bottom right corner here, we actually just packed that out with thermal pads. But one good thing I did forget to mention earlier was this board is kind of a weird one. It not only is the main reason we're using it is because it's inexpensive, but it also is sort of in between a micro ATX and an ITX board. And for some odd reason with this Cooler Master case here, it's just got that perfect, I guess it's almost like perfect in terms of the size of the board matching up for this case. So ultimately Cooler Master designed this case not as a mini ITX case, but as a Dell OEM replacement case. So now we've got our budget PC set up over here, but we're also going to add in just a real cheap keyboard and mouse and a used monitor that I picked up on a used parts hunt. So in total, when I really pro-rata some of the parts we picked out of other deals and put everything together, we're coming in a little bit over 100 USD for a whole setup. And if we take away the keyboard and mouse, then we are actually gonna be, just for the PC, under 100 USD. However, one thing I'm curious about, I did run Furmark and it was saying the GPU was utilized at 100%, but it's still a PCIe Gen 2 X4 port. So I'm kind of curious to see, even though Infomarket was maxing out, kind of curious to see if in games it'll present as a problem. If it does, we'll have to figure out probably some jank riser cable method to perhaps raise the GPU a little bit and then put a riser cable in so we can still close off the case and have a gaming PC. But fingers crossed it works in games okay. So with all the testing now finished, we've got some good news and some bad news, and that is that the good news, we'll start off with that first, is that the PC works 100%, but we do need a riser cable in order to do this. And that's because this Dell motherboard that we put inside, this really inexpensive board, ended up having that X16 slot, the one that you really want to use for your graphics card, and it's connected directly to the CPU. That was on the second lane, like down on the motherboard, rather than being right at the top. And so with this case, it meant that we basically just had to use that riser cable to push the GPU back and then install it in this case and to get the side panel enclosed. I mean, if you didn't want to use a side panel on this thing, you could just have the GPU hanging out the case. Might have to do a little bit more hacking up. But ultimately, I think in a budget build, I could say put this with a monitor, keyboard, and mouse, and then I could move that on and sell it for a really cheap price and still make a little tidy profit. And I think that for me personally is what I really enjoy doing with sort of something like this, getting it for as cheap as possible, taking out the faulty motherboard, and also putting in a decent motherboard and still keeping all the costs low, but still getting a decent gaming experience. So going through the gaming numbers now, you'll see that with Counter-Strike 2, we're getting at 1080p high settings, close to 80 average FPS with a 0.1% low of 26. Not the best numbers, but certainly not unplayable. It's a playable experience, especially coupled in with a 60 Hertz monitor. Now, of course, if you're wondering lowering it to low settings, it basically just made it so that we're still CPU bottlenecked. So for this game in particular, 1080p high settings was the way to go because then we're just able to utilize more of that graphics card power on the 1660 Super. But then moving on to another game like Torchlight 3, which was really inexpensive to purchase on Steam. I think they had this massive discount on it, so I got it, I was playing through it, it's pretty fun. This is on max settings at 1080p, we've got 112 average FPS, and a 0.1% low of 36. However, when we had this running on the PCIe Gen 2 slot, and I guess this is where we'll get into some of the bad news, was that Gen 2 X4 slot was, I believe, running through the chipset, because here's where we got horrible 0.1% low stuttering, despite the average FPS being pretty close to that of the normal slot with the riser cable. And also, when we tried to boot up Counter-Strike 2 using this top slot, the game just wouldn't boot. It kept asking to verify the game file integrity. And so it was really weird. I've never seen this happen before, where you're using a PCIe slot and it's asking something to do this. So there's definitely some weird issue going on there using that top slot, but ultimately it just didn't pan out because if we can't boot games, when we go to sell the PC and the person who gets it can't boot games either, that's going to be a major problem. Not to mention the 0.1% lows for me is the biggest thing that did it. But back to the final game that we tested here with this PC, and that was Warcraft 3. And this is 1080p max settings with all the reforged options enabled. And here's what we got in a multiplayer FFA free-for-all. We got over 60 average FPS, and the 0.1% low was around 11 here, so the 0.1% low was a little bit low for my liking especially. But that said, if it was to go this low, at least it happens in an RTS game, where with RTS, it's not as important to have crazy high FPS as it is to say FPS, where every frame can count, especially in the middle of a clutch frag, as opposed to RTS, it's more like, again, strategy. You got to plan out and make the right choices, especially with Warcraft 3. A lot of it's about just timing the battle and scouting and getting involved at the right time, at the right place. Anyway, guys, with all that out of the way, what we've got here is a budget combo that's probably more so for people who want to, I guess, get into PC gaming on a budget, but also don't mind trying to deal with some problems. And this is where it's not really for someone starting out with their first PC, I'd say. Something like this would be more suited for someone who's got a little bit of experience with trial and error and taking out parts and seeing which does work and which doesn't work. But the end result is just incredible value for money, especially utilizing some of these older parts here. And The i7-4770 coupled in with the 1660 Super, if all you're looking to play is some of these titles at a playable experience, like especially Counter-Strike 2, and it'll play a lot of other titles like Fortnite as well, and Apex Legends. And so for a PC and ultimately a budget combo like this, I don't think there's a whole lot to lose here, except a faulty motherboard. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. Also, let us know in the comments section below, are you into this ultra budget low end stuff? Me personally, I think there's just so much you can do here in terms of flexibility, especially when it comes to things like pulling out the power supply and using that in a higher end build. And it's something that I personally do a lot here behind the scenes, and that is I mix and match parts that I get in from PCs, where say it's a budget PC, but someone's put in a 1000-watt power supply and you're like, whoa, that power supply is way too good for that build. I can then put in a budget power supply in that build and just match everything for that price point, especially since I'm going to be flipping this PC right here and just making a little tidy profit on the side. So anyway, guys, with all that out of the way, love reading your thoughts and opinions as always, and I'll catch you in another tech video very soon. Peace out for now. Bye.